What's the story, Morning Glory? What is the word, hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for another review of The Real Housewives of the OC, Season 16, Episode 9, Runaway Husband. So we start off where we left off in the last episode, which is we're still at the dinner in Cabo, and this is at the point where Heather had confronted Noella about the inappropriate gift that Noella had bought for Heather's daughter. And Noella finally realizes why the gift was inappropriate because she didn't do her due diligence by examining the gift or trying to get more information about the gift before giving it to someone's minor child. So she finally understands why Heather's so upset and she's very apologetic, but at the same time, she's also very, very dismissive. She was like, "Oh my God, Heather, I'm so sorry. Is this over yet? Oh my God, Heather, I can't, yes, you're so right, Heather. I was so wrong for doing that. I just want to get out of here," or whatever she was saying under her breath. So she was being apologetic, but then she was also being very dismissive to Heather. Heather got fed up with it. Heather got up and left. Shannon then gets up and leaves. Then Noella is mad at Gina because Gina didn't tell her that Heather knew or Heather had discovered that the gift was inappropriate. So she gets mad at Gina for not telling her because Gina knew that Heather didn't like the gift. And Gina gets upset with Noella for being upset at her. So then Gina leaves. Then Emily tries to explain to Noella how she didn't know about the gift and that she was trying to defend Gina. I guess Noella was also accusing Emily of not, giving her a heads up. Hey, this is what Heather really thought about the gift. But Emily was like, "I didn't even know about the gift." So then Noella dismisses Emily and says, "Go check on Gina." So then Emily gets up and leaves. So so then Emily gets up and she leaves. And then the only people left at the table now are Noella and Dr. Jen. And they're both are like talking about how, well, who would have thought that it would have been just the two of us left at the table? Because we know that Noella and Dr. Jen, they do have a conflict in their relationship. They're not the best of friends, but they're the only ones remaining at the table. So, they toast each other's glasses and they're like, well, here we are. So Emily goes to check on Gina. Gina's laying in the bed in the dark, like she's really crying about this. And I'm like, what are you crying about, Gina? Who cares if Noella got mad at you? Like, who the hell is Noella to you? Y'all just barely met on this show. So why is this affecting you to the point where you're laying in the dark crying? Like you lost your best friend of 25 years. Stop. So Shannon, she comes back to the table. And she starts making drinks. She just immediately goes to the bar that was abandoned by the staff because all the staff is gone by now. So Shannon is back there. She's making drinks. Emily comes back because she claims she forgot her purse. So then Emily, Shannon and Noella, they're having a good time, drinking, falling over in the sand. By this time, Dr. Jen had already left because she just can't hang anymore. So she's already been gone. So it's just the three women having a good time on the beach. Moving on. Dr. Jen. So she's so everybody's back in the OC. Dr. Jen is out with her daughter and they have like a mommy-daughter date and they're getting their nails done at the nail salon. And, Dr. Jen is feeling very guilty about going to Cabo because of the fact that she's so busy with her practice. Any little free time that she gets, she would rather spend it with her kids than be running around with these crazy women. And so she asks her daughter about the new nanny, and then the daughter says that she really likes the nanny because she acts just like a mother. And she tells Dr. Jen, "Well, you're my other mother." And, all of this is just feeding into Dr. Jen's guilt trip, of her not being more present with her children. Heather. So Heather is out with Gina, and Heather invites Gina to New York because they're both from New York. And so Heather has a trip to New York to go look at some colleges for her kids, and she's inviting Gina to also tag along. So they do some Noella talk, and Gina is basically just exhausted with Noella because Gina feels like that she has really been there for Noella, that she has really supported her and defended her when no one else would. So she's a little bit, peeved that Noella has turned so quickly on her. And in her confessional, Gina says that she can't believe that, no, what did she say in her confessional? She says something like, She does. Okay. So Gina in her confession, well, at some point she says that she can't believe that Noella would think that she would flip on her like that, because Noella felt betrayed by Gina for not giving her the heads up about Heather knowing about the gift. So she's like, I'm not that kind of a person who would flip on someone like that. And I'm like, this is just too much talk about Noella. Who cares what Noella thinks? She's not like you haven't been best friends for years and years and years. Who cares what Noella thinks? Noella is here for popularity. She wants to further her career. She thinks that she's got a shot in the entertainment business. So, don't, Gina, girl, please don't fret about Noella. Moving on. Shannon. So Shannon is hosting an event on John's boat, and she invites the DeBows, Emily and Shane, and that was it. So they're all on the boat, and they go for a ride on the boat, and everybody talks about how natural Shannon is on the boat. And I think there's even talk that Shannon was saying something about how, she can see herself living on this boat with John, because I think it's John's boat. And so, whatever, they're having a good time on the boat. They come back to dock, and it's time for dinner, and they have a hibachi styled dinner. So there's a chef there. I think his name was Chef Mac Noodles. And he was, doing the whole hibachi thing for them. And so they're all sitting at dinner, and the talk goes to fathers. John talks about, he shares his experience with his father, how basically his father disowned him. And it was a really sad story, because basically it was like the father, when he got remarried, he just really abandoned John, and even named one of his new sons with his new wife, named him John, because John himself is a junior. So when his dad got remarried and started having more children with his new wife, he named one of his kids John, like another John Jr. or whatever. So at some point, John's father completely disinherits him and cut off all ties with him. And it's like a really sad story. So that prompts everybody else to talk about their daddies and their daddy issues. And Emily talks about how, her father wasn't really a part of her life. Dr. DeBow talks about how his father was not a part of his life. And what they both have in common is that because their fathers were not in their lives, it really drove them to be motivated and to try to be very, very successful in life. Because I'm not sure exactly why. I wasn't really paying attention, but I remember Emily saying that because her father wasn't there to to talk about how proud he was of her, she had to find that within herself, because her father wasn't there to give it to her. And I think it was probably the same thing with Dr. DeBow. So the absence of their dads really ended up, helping them become very successful in life. Moving on to Shannon. So Shannon is at dinner with Emily at Q-Dub. Now Q-Dub is the restaurant where Shannon absolutely lost her mind with what was that woman's name? That crazy woman who's no longer on the show, and she was a Trump supporter. I can't think of her name, but that was when she had that huge confrontation with her, and the woman was like, the other woman was like, go ahead, have some more food, Shannon, gain some more weight. And Shannon shoved that plate across the table and said, that's not even my effing plate. So yeah, we're back at that restaurant. That was hilarious. So, and she sits in the very same spot that she sat last time. And the waiter came, or the owner came, or the manager came and said, I think we're going to give you paper plates tonight. And I thought that was funny. Anyways, moving on. So, Emily is there, Noella arrives, and so they start talking about Noella and Gina patching things up, and Noella's open to that because Noella's not here for friendship. She doesn't care about these women. She's not here to make any long-lasting friendships. She's trying to collect that money and get more popular and become more famous. That's the only reason why she's here. So she's like, yeah, fine, whatever. I'll patch things up with Gina, no problem. Then they talk about Dr. Jen. So Dr. Jen had told Emily this story where it was about some gift that Noella had given to her husband for an anniversary or a birthday present or something like that. And I'm not going to go into too much detail because it's extremely explicit, but In the conversation, Noella says, well, Dr. Jen needs to mind her own business. Instead of, being worried about what I'm doing for my husband, she needs to worry about what's going on in her home with her husband. So she just needs to mind her own business. So it seems like there's still that tension there between her and Dr. Jen. Now, I thought that Dr. Jen and Noella had kind of sort of made up in Mexico, but I guess not, because when they were left at the table alone and they were clinking glasses, I thought they were kind of, on the path to some positivity, but I guess not. So, moving on from that, Dr. Jen. So Dr. Jen, Heather comes over and they're having drinks on her balcony patio area. And Dr. Jen is talking about her issues with her husband. And she's telling Heather that her and her husband are very resentful towards each other. She said that her husband's resentful because he was the one like stuck raising the children while she went out and started her career and was building her career. He was the house husband, so he's resentful about that. She's resentful because she's not able to spend as much time with her kids, and like I don't know if she's like jealous or whatever that he's the one that's always home with the children and bonding with the children while she's not there. So Heather tells her, well, this is your problem, and I hear you. So this is yours. Try this as a solution. You can go and get therapy. Try to get therapy, either as a couple or by yourself, and then try just to prioritize your family. And that's what she told Dr. Jen. Moving on, Emily, game night. So Emily's hosting a game night for all the girls, and everybody came except for Heather. Now, when Noella showed up, she had on some leopard print outfit, and she goes up to Gina and she's like, look, I'm wearing leopard. And Gina's like, okay. And so Noella says, it's very Jersey. And in her confessional, Gina was like, okay, that's fine, but I'm not from Jersey. That was really funny. That just shows how Noella is not interested in these women. She's not trying. I mean, how could you not know, or how could you not remember that Gina's from New York? So she doesn't care about these women or forming friendships with them. Anyways, so Gina says that, I kind of feel like Gina is probably maybe just checked out with Noella. She says in her confessional that she can't be in a friendship that she really doesn't understand. There is no friendship between you and Noella, Gina. That's why there's this issue. There's like conflict with you and her. This is not a real friendship. I don't know what you're doing with this woman, but it's not a friendship. Gina probably would like to be a real friend to Noella, but Noella's not interested in that. She's going to pretend to be a friend to stay on the show, but yeah, Noella's not interested in that. And so Gina finally tells Noella that she needs to know that her feelings would still matter in their friendship, even if Noella is going through something. Because Noella's excuse for being a bad friend is always, well, I'm going through a lot, referring to her husband leaving her. Well, I'm going through a lot. She had a fake marriage. She's got fake friendships. Why does anybody even bother having a conversation with her? So Dr. Jen, she wants to have a conversation. First of all, her scene starts off with her and her children. So I guess this was her trying to prioritize her family. Her kids come running up to her, I guess, to tell her about their first day at school or something. And they're just, bombarding her. And she looked literally frightened. Like all these little people were coming around her, yelling and screaming, trying to touch her. She didn't know what to do with herself. And so finally, the kids leave. And she says something about how she's like the fun parent. She's the one that's giving them candy. She's the one that's letting them use their iPads for however long they want. And Ryan is more of the disciplinarian because he's with them all the time and he has to maintain some kind of control over them. So of course he's the more strict parent. So Jen is okay. So they're sitting outside, and Jen wants to have a very serious heart-to-heart with him, and he's sitting there across from her, holding his little Chihuahua. And I wonder if the Chihuahua is like a, what do they call it? An emotional support animal for him, because he's always with that Chihuahua. So he's sitting there across the table from her, and she's pouring her heart out, and she's talking about how whenever. I don't know what she was saying because she was talking really low and it wasn't a really interesting scene. But I guess what basically it ended up with her saying, if you, I want more praise from you. I want you to tell me that you are proud of me. And he's like, okay, yeah, I'm proud of you. And then she says, but when you say it, I want you to really mean it and to really validate it with, specific things that you're proud of about me, And I think she gave him a list of things that she's done recently. And he was like, yeah, I'm proud of you for taking on new staff. And I'm proud of you for, doing X, Y, and Z. Yeah, I'm really proud of you. But when he was talking to her, his eyes were like completely dead to me. His facial expression was absolutely like catatonic. I don't know if he was medicated or if this is just how he is. I have no idea. But to me, he looked like he was medicated. Yeah, he looked very medicated to me because his face had no expression whatsoever. His eyes were completely vacant. And he was just like, yeah, I'm proud of you. Yeah, I'm real proud of you. Yeah, you're doing this and you're doing that. Yeah, I'm real proud of you. And so he tries to say exactly what she wants to hear. And then she tells him, well, can you put the dog down or something, like, send the dog to be with the kids because you're giving the dog a lot of attention. And here I am trying to have this conversation with you. And it seems like you're just more concentrated on the dog. And he was like, you know what? I'm done. You tell that man to put his dog down. It's over. And he was like, you know what? I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. And she's like, you don't want to do what? He says, this, all of this. I don't want to do any of this anymore. I'm done. And so he shuts it down and he doesn't want to participate anymore. And then he gets up and he walks back into the house. So she follows him, which I would not have done. I would not have done. If he said you're done, we'll all be done. I'm not following nobody nowhere for nothing. So she follows him back into the house. I guess he was trying to go into the bedroom or something. And she was like, why? Why can't we try again? And he's like, no, I'm telling you, I'm done. I'm not doing this. And she keeps on like pestering him, and she's like, why can't we do this? And he says, you know what, it's a hard no for me, and if you keep pestering me about it, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna go take a walk. And she kept on pestering him, kept on begging him to communicate and try or whatever she was trying to do. And he got his keys and his dog and he was out of there. He was out. And Dr. Jan, that was embarrassing. I don't know what the hell is. Okay, are these children their children together? Because this family is really strange. And she doesn't really connect with her own kids. She's not connecting with her husband. Her husband is walking around shirtless and catatonic. And what is this? What is going on? The nanny is pregnant. And I'm like, by who? What is happening here? So I don't know. I would not have followed him nowhere. I just would have sat there and drunk my wine and enjoyed, the beautiful evening. And no, I wouldn't have done that. But whatever. That's her man, her marriage, her issues, her problems. And he left. That man took off. He didn't give a damn about no cameras. He didn't care about how it looked. He was gone. That is my review of the Real Housewives of the OC. I have one more episode to look at. Thank you so much for joining me. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will definitely talk to you later.